Right now at noon, ceasefire deal in Gaza as Israel strikes the war-torn region, killing hundreds. What's behind the latest attack? Plus, southern Oregon, flooding turns deadly while many communities recover. We have the latest on the weather conditions there and a change the family has called for years. Grant High School is soon getting lights in its stadium and later preparing for climate change. How foresters in Washington adapt their forests to warmer and drier summers with the help from some Oregon seedlings. Your News at Noon starts right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm China Green. Breaking this afternoon, the White House says Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to a limited ceasefire in Ukraine involving energy and infrastructure targets. It's not immediately clear whether Ukraine is on board with the phased ceasefire plan, but the White House described it as a first step in the movement to peace. President Trump and Putin also agreed to begin, quote, technical negotiations on maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea, full ceasefire and permanent peace. And we are continuing to track flooding conditions in southern Oregon. A weekend of heavy rain and flooding had fields and streets in several towns covered, and water flood warnings are still in effect today for the Coquille River affecting Coos County and Rogue River affecting Curry County. Further south, we learned that a woman drowned near her home in Central Point. That's close to Medford. Authorities say floodwaters pulled her into a nearby creek. We also talked to people in Drain, one of the most hit communities in Douglas County. The massive floods have damaged the outsides and insides of homes and businesses. One man says over a foot of water poured into their home.
First it started bubbling up through the floor, bathroom, comes into the sewer system, and then it works its way up.
It was pretty, just like unsurreal almost. Like it was almost like it wasn't happening, but you knew it was because you're seeing it. So again, this was my first flood I've ever experienced. So it was really took me by surprise.
The Oregon Department of Emergency Management says that they have upgraded the state's emergency response to level 3 and that they are working with local, tribal and state partners to support recovery operations. Highway 26 was briefly closed this morning near Sandy after a car crashed into a log truck. No one was injured. Oregon State Police said that the log truck partially rolled and the passenger car slid into a ditch. The logs knocked over were being picked up this morning as crews cleared the scene. Police said roadway conditions were icy. And conditions in the Cascades turned deadly after a skier on Mount Bachelor got trapped in a tree well yesterday. Dispatchers say they got an emergency SOS text from an Apple device at around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, letting them know about a trapped and injured person in, quote, steep terrain. They sent out the ski patrol, who found the man on the west side of the mountain. Rescuers say he was unresponsive and buried headfirst in a tree well. After spending about 15 minutes digging him out, they tried giving him CPR, but their attempts were unsuccessful. The man is identified as 34-year-old Benjamin Sheckley of Seattle. The Deschutes County Sheriff's Office says skiers and snowboarders need to be extremely careful, even when staying inbounds in resort areas because of the deep snow conditions right now. We're also getting a closer look at some of the impacts of this past weekend's weather in the Cascades. Dash cam video shows 2 tall trees falling over almost in slow motion, but it's not, across Highway 58. Right in front of a line of cars and trucks, as you see there. There was near Willamette Pass on Sunday. ODOT said a 33-mile stretch of Highway 58 was shut down from Oak Ridge to Crescent Lake for hours because of downed trees, spinouts, and snowy conditions. So talking about weather right now, let's go over to Rod Hill in the weather deck. I think this is the second time we're seeing you up there.
Yeah, thanks, China. You know that the story you just did about the trees down over the highways and the Cascades, people stranded for hours. That's why we tell you, good idea to have blankets, warm clothing, some water thrown in should something like that happen and you get stranded. We are up here on the KGW weather deck in downtown Portland, brought to you by Rick's Custom Fencing and Decking. I'm getting sprinkled on right now. It's mostly cloudy with the sun trying to poke through. Here's what we have on Doppler radar at noon. Scattered showers out there right now. Nothing has really amounted to too much. In the coming hours, we're probably going to see the wettest part of our day. You can see the green dots there starting to pick up. This is the last 3 hours. Let's go out live to our Lincoln City cameras, Snook Winds Casino Resort. I will tell you that I still feel there is no storm threat today, meaning no hail, no thunder, and for the most part, not expecting any downpours either. It's 47 in Lincoln City. They have a nice blue sky, partly cloudy. The Rose City camera, though, much more cloudiness over downtown Portland. There's that look, expecting the clouds to break up somewhat in the coming hours. 48 is the temperature, a shower being reported out of PDX. Actually, a few showers popping would help break the cloud cover up a little bit. How about that? Here's a look at your day planner. This afternoon, again, you're going to find a shower if you're outside for a lengthy period of time, but nothing stormy. That shower chance continuing until about early evening, 6 o'clock or so. 55 degrees at 4 p.m. would equal yesterday's high. Once we get into the evening after sunset, we should be completely dry overnight tonight. We are tracking a Wednesday evening front coming in and also a Friday morning storm front coming in. And my complete forecast, I'll see you in just a little bit.
Thank you, Rod. Breaking development in the Middle East. Israel launched airstrikes across the Gaza Strip today, killing at least 400 people. That shattered the ceasefire in place since January and threatened to fully reignite the 17-month-old war. NBC's Matt Bradley reports from Tel Aviv.
That's right. War has returned to the Gaza Strip, breaking a tenuous ceasefire that the U.S. had spent more than a year trying to negotiate. The Israelis started striking Hamas military targets, they said, across that enclave starting at around 2 a.m. this morning. Now, health authorities in the Gaza Strip said that already more than 400 people have been killed, and those numbers are likely to rise. Now, Israel's defense minister said they decided to return to fighting because Hamas refused to negotiate the release of the remaining hostages in the Gaza Strip. Hamas said that Israel's airstrikes are a violation of the ceasefire that almost quieted the guns in Gaza when it was negotiated back in January. And the White House said last night the Israelis had consulted them before they resumed their airstrikes. But all of this calls into question the fate of the remaining hostages in the Gaza Strip. The Israelis believe that there are about 59 hostages who are still in Gaza, but only about 35 of them, or already 35 of them, have been killed. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
And developing today, the Supreme Court's Chief Justice is pushing back against President Donald Trump's call to impeach judges. Chief John Roberts said in a statement, quote, "Impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision." Recently, he called for the impeachment of a U.S. district judge, President Trump that is, who blocked the deportation of Venezuelan migrants. Our local construction industry is feeling the pinch as it deals with President Donald Trump's new tariffs and changes in immigration policy. Experts say the construction industry is vulnerable to tariffs because it imports things like steel, aluminum, and lumber, all of which have become targets in the trade war. And something else that's worrying for the industry is the immigration crackdown.
They may have proper documentation, but when they hear of an ICE raid nearby, they tend to get scarce because they may be picked up wrongly, or they may have family members whose status isn't as clear.
Simonson adds that if workers don't show up, projects take longer and contractors end up paying more in overtime. In an update, families in Northeast Portland may soon get stadium lights at the Grant Bowl field after pushing for the change for years now. Portland Public Schools says that Grant is the only 6A school in the state that isn't able to host games because it doesn't have stadium lights. Instead, athletes spend most of the year practicing and playing games at Delta Park, which could take about 30 minutes to get to.
It makes it hard for us to commute there. From practices, we have to get carpools, and then for games, the buses have to leave extra early, so we miss more school, which makes it hard.
This generation of students at Grant High School will have that opportunity to, again, connect in real life, to have a home field.
Parent Virginia A. Fort says that it will cost $500,000 to add the lights. So far, they funded about a third of the project. They hope lights can be added by fall of next year. Oregon Siletz Tribe has regained full hunting and fishing rights on its land. The state and federal government took them away about 45 years ago. In 1980, the tribe was forced to sign an agreement that limited their hunting and fishing rights in exchange for the land that they live on now. On Friday, the state repealed that agreement, a move the Department of Fish and Wildlife called long overdue.
It's been 45 years that the consent decree was restricting the rights of Siletz tribal members to participate in hunting, fishing, trapping, and gathering.
It's hard to come out from under the thumb when really oppression is expressed towards you.
Governor Tina Kotek's office applauded the move in a statement saying, quote, "No tribe should have to choose between their land or their sovereign rights." NASA's SpaceX Crew 9 is returning today to the Earth at around 2:57 our time this afternoon. It will bring back 4 astronauts from the International Space Station, including Sunny Williams and Butch Wilmore, who have spent more than 9 months in space. NASA said the astronauts have completed long-duration science expedition aboard the orbiting laboratory and will return time-sensitive research to Earth. KGW will be live streaming the astronauts' return this afternoon, starting at 1:45.